Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Chris, and today I wanted to talk about what's been going on this week. Where have I been? Been pretty busy. Wasn't able to make my normal videos for most of the week. For that, I apologize. But of course, the same things are going on. Gold and silver obviously got hit towards the middle of the week. But when I say hit, I mean give them credit. They still did. They still are above where they were. Just a few weeks ago. So obviously, this whole thing is having an impact on that. But what goes up typically must come down. And that being said, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go back under, $25 an ounce for silver, and then in the 1800s for gold. That being said, it's pretty crazy, when you see what your preconceived notions of like what the world are versus reality. And I think, when you think of what's going on in Ukraine and how that plays into the world in general, it kind of is making Russia look like a paper tiger. Although they are a superpower. I mean, if they wanted to, of course, they could obliterate Ukraine from the face of the earth. Do they want to do that? Probably not, because again, the close ties between Ukraine and Russia historically and all of that, and of course even in the current day. But I think when you look at these things, what's going on and how the likely outcome that Vladimir Putin was looking for was to really exploit the cracks within NATO and kind of push the Europeans to choose sides over their economic concerns, or whether NATO would really hold water. And I think this is kind of showing that, interestingly, NATO is actually pretty united. They see that there's definitely, truth to the Russian threat for them. Now, that being said, I'm not saying Russia is necessarily like the big bad wolf and they're the evil empire. This isn't George Bush. But that being said, they are the aggressor in Ukraine. Now, that, again, yes, that being said, it's so funny, like the rabbit hole that you can go down, with the whole Russia Ukraine thing, because you see videos of people saying, no, Russia's actually trying to protect itself from the chemical weapons factory in Ukraine. And Ukraine is producing androgen and chemical weapons for the United States and this and that. It's like, I mean, those things, is it possible? Of course, but I mean, it's crazy, because if you start to go down those rabbit holes and think like everything on Earth is a conspiracy, like you're being lied to in every way, and that there's some like very hidden motive for something that seems very clear. Um, Again, I love myself a good conspiracy theory. I love reading, always have, love reading, this, that, and the other thing. But if you start to live in that reality, you start to lose grasp on, what is true and what isn't. So I don't know, there's no scenario that I can look at what's going on and say Vladimir Putin's the good guy. Not that we're the good guy either, but it's definitely not Vladimir Putin. And when I see, Americans like, we should respect Vladimir Putin for being a tough guy. Yeah, maybe not so much. But what's been really telling for me is like the performance of the Russian military. And like, what I talked about originally, when this all started, was the makeup of like a lot of the Russian military, as far as being not reservists, but like conscripts and things like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That means that they're not capable, but when you see how they've performed so far, and we don't know what their actual plan was, but we do know that it wasn't to constantly be humiliated, by the Ukrainian military, through a proxy war. That definitely wasn't the goal. And so when you see, the type of hardware and the lives that they're losing, it's pretty interesting. Not only that, but when you hear the things about like the equipment that they're using, breakdowns, and the tires being garbage, and like just everything about it is just like seems to be exposing how we built up Russia to be this strong military power that can go into wherever they want and pretty much dictate the terms. And it looks like they're kind of getting embarrassed, on a small timeline scale. So pretty crazy to see. And I mean, I could see those kind of things happening to a lot of different superpowers, but it really looks bad for Russia. And I would think Vladimir Putin to have initiated this conflict, and it's just, I mean, it sounds like it's really crushing the economy there in Russia. And then for the military forces to be just getting humiliated on the ground doesn't look good. For I don't see any bright side in this for Vladimir Putin. The other thing that's important is we always talk about, let's go back to a gold standard. Russia and China are buying all this gold. Well, the funny part about that is it's not helping them at all. The ruble is garbage right now, total garbage, and all of the reserves that they have in bullion, they can't do anything with it because they can't trade with anybody. So it may be a good value preservation as far as like keeping the wealth, but it's not in any system of trade. It's not going to help them in any way. In fact, at some point it may even become a liability wherever it's held. I was actually reading into this in the Wall Street Journal about the gold holdings and what's going on with that. How is that playing out? And what they were saying was that Russia purchased bullion to back the financial system should something unforeseen come into play. What they didn't expect was that they would be cut off from a lot of the international trading and the financial system. So because of that, it's actually had a profound impact and made basically the bullion irrelevant. Crazy times. But this illustrates, for me, at least in my opinion, and again, like, I have no illusions that the Ukrainians are, they're standing up and they are fighting bravely, and they are kicking some butt. But the thing is that they're being supplied with a lot of weapons. Who knows what's really going on in the ground there as far as our involvement or things like that. It's crazy. It's straight out of like a book. Now, as far as Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, that's not anything that anybody should be surprised about. It was written in the cards, when they went into Crimea. President Obama didn't really cramp down on Russia like he probably should have. And of course, Donald Trump wasn't hurting Russia in any way. And so because of that, I can understand how they felt emboldened, like, the United States isn't going to stop us. I mean, look at the way that, a lot of Americans look at Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. What's Sleepy Joe going to do? Okay, I can see that. But the thing is that at the end of the day, NATO wouldn't be united like this if they didn't trust that the United States was going to be there. That really is the bottom line. And because if the United States doesn't back NATO, there is no NATO. It's not going to function. And so because of that, not that it's Sleepy Joe, but they trust America, period. And Sleepy Joe, whether you like him or not, is still a reflection of America. If they didn't believe that this administration or whoever succeeds it would be there to really, when S hits the fan, they wouldn't be united like they are, and they definitely wouldn't be working together like they are cooperatively. Of course, there's a bunch of different countries in there. Not everything is going to go smoothly, but it is incredible to see like what's going on right now. I can't imagine that this was what Vladimir Putin envisioned when he went into Ukraine. That united, he would make NATO more united, probably more united than they've been since obviously their creation, the end of World War II. So it's a crazy, brave new world. Very interesting to see. I realize that I'm looking at the communist news network, so don't get offended. CNN at one time was a reputable news source, whatever their political affiliations are now. But again, as far as how that ties into precious metals, What I'm looking at is a sea of red. But the bottom line is it has had a good run. So, that's nothing to sneeze at, even though it's volatile right now. The big winner here, though, is palladium. Crazy. Don't forget to make sure that you're registered for my GA. There is a palladium GA. Or you can take the gold. I would prefer that you take the gold, because I'd love to hang on to the palladium. But if you do want that, go find that video. Make sure you're subbed and take a look at it. Anyway, that's it for right now. Have a good one.